Välkomna till Wednesday Webinar denna onsdag, och Ventilations, vi gör ju våra event på onsdagar, ja, även andra dagar. Mitt namn är Mats Gustafsson och jag kommer vara er moderator här idag, och vi kommer ju ha Marketo med oss och deras partner Avaus. Och vi kommer prata om de förändringar som har skett på marknadsområdet, synnerligen med digitala medier och digitala kanaler, i att också en undersökning som visar ju att 75% av marknadsförarna säger att de kommer vara ansvariga för hela kundupplevelsen under hela livscykeln för kunden. Och det här ger ju en stor effekt också på då hur man jobbar och kanske också resursfrågan. Och vi kommer ha med oss Ray Coppinger från Marketo och Emma Storbacka från Avaus. Och vi börjar med Raymond som ska berätta lite om möjligheter här och vad vi kan göra. Welcome Raymond to the Wednesday webinar. And I will have over the control to you and see that everything works, of course, with the technical part of it.
Sure.
So.
Are we all good, Matt?
Hello, Raymond. What do you see in terms of the status of us as companies in fulfilling the customers' expectations in terms of the experience they expect to have or want to have when they meet us in different channels?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Matt, and a great place to start. I think we actually at Marketo, we conducted a major piece of research this year where we kind of surveyed 500 marketers globally. It was conducted by the Economist Intelligence Unit on behalf of us. And what they found in one of the questions was that over 50% of marketers that over the next 3 to 5 years that they needed to fundamentally change the way they set up their organization to meet customer expectations and needs. So I think that suggests that marketers recognize that they do need to change both how they operate and how they set up their marketing function to really address the needs of the modern consumer and buyer.
Okay, so you see both impacts on processes and organization, and I assume also IT support and system support.
Yeah, that's right across, as I say, so the actual marketing function itself, even the way the teams are set up and the different functions within a marketing team. So like, for example, we see, you know, the function of a marketing operations team, I think is going to be more and more prevalent within organizations into the future, because the need for a marketing team, for example, to have obviously the skill sets to be able to handle, you know, all the data that they're kind of generating and be able to kind of obviously make good decisions based on that data is going to be really important. So it extends from both the marketing function and how it's set up, and also, as you mentioned, the technologies which they're using to reach those consumers and buyers that they're trying to engage with.
Okay, yeah, the stage is yours. Welcome.
Lovely. Well, thank you again, Max, and good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here today. I you know, thank you for listening to us in English this morning. It's as I say, we're here to talk about the next era of marketing. So, you know, we at Marketo, we've been talking about engagement marketing now for quite a while. We believe that it is the foundation for success in this new world of marketing we're currently kind of living through and experiencing. And over the next 35 to 40 minutes, myself and Emma are going to be looking at engagement marketing and the principles behind engagement marketing. Before I kind of jump in too much into the presentation, though, I just want to take a minute just to give a bit of background on myself and Marketo, just for 1 minute, to set the scene in terms of why we're talking about these things. So I work in the European marketing team for Marketo, based out of our Dublin office. And my role is very focused on our digital marketing channels. So I look after our search marketing, pay-per-click SEO. I look after digital display advertising, like our retargeting and so on. I also look after content, so all the content we create locally to support our marketing efforts within the different markets in Europe and so on. So my focus is very much on digital, and that's why engagement and the topic of engagement is really kind of relevant to what I do at Marketo. So just as I say, a minute on Marketo as well, just to set the scene for people who maybe are not familiar with the company. So Marketo, the product, is it's a full marketing platform for marketers from which they can run their entire marketing activities. So Marketo really covers lots of functionalities from traditional, what you would say is traditional marketing automation, like, you know, your database of records, your lead nurturing, lead scoring. But Marketo also has lots of other functionalities like website real-time personalization, the ability to manage your marketing through things like your marketing calendar, the ability to obviously measure and analyze the performance of your marketing program. So Marketo really is the one marketing platform that marketers use. The company is 8 years old, founded in 2007. We nearly 4,000 customers globally now, and you'll recognize some of the logos, some of the customer logos on the right-hand side of this slide. So that's a little bit about myself and Marketo. As I said, I just wanted to share that so that we have an idea of why we at Marketo are talking about, you know, this topic in particular. So before I kind of, or as I kind of start into the presentation, we try and understand why are we moving into a new era of marketing and what that era is. Just want to talk a little bit about the world of business and consumer marketers and how they are converging and meeting and starting to overlap. You know, business marketers or B2B marketers, they talk a language which is very focused on leads, opportunities, generating a pipeline, their alignment with sales. So these are all the types of languages and things that B2B marketers talk about. Consumer marketers or B2C marketers, you know, they're very focused on things like, you know, return on ad spend, you know, frequency, brand, loyalty, engagement, all these terms as well, which are very much the world of the consumer marketer. And I think traditionally B2B and B2C marketers, they were, I suppose, you know, quite separate and, you know, quite different in the way they approach things. But what we're finding and what we've been finding over the last number of years is that, you know, with the new platforms that are available in terms of social and digital platforms that are available, the world of B2B and B2C marketers are becoming closer and more aligned. And fundamentally, both B2B and B2C marketers are trying to answer the same questions ultimately. And we're just going to look at those now on this slide. So first of all, every marketer is trying to build a deep and enduring relationship with their customer. So it's not about a single transaction or a single conversion or single interaction with the customer. It's really about understanding how does that customer interact with you during their full life cycle. So as they're maybe buying from you initially and then repeat buying and maybe becoming an advocate for your brand or your product or service. They're trying to reach people at an individual and personalized level. So what this means is that marketers are ultimately trying to, you know, not, you know, deal with segments of their database. So it's really about understanding every individual within, you know, their databases and their CRMs to understand what they really want, what they're trying to achieve, and be able to provide messages and communications to those people, which ultimately helps them to fulfill them. It's about, you know, engaging people with real experiences that really help them to achieve something. And when we talk about engaging experiences, what we're talking about really is, it's about providing the right content in the right context. So that means, you know, whether it's an offer, whether it's a piece of thought leadership, whether it's a piece of content that you share with somebody, but getting it to the person at the right time over the right channel. And when we're talking about channels, you know, we all know and we all have preferences in the way we like to communicate. Some people spend a lot of time on Facebook or Twitter, or some people prefer email. Some people like to deal on the phone. So again, we have lots of preferences in the way we like to be reached and to reach people. And we as marketers need to respect and understand those. And of course, all marketers need to do all those things at scale. We're all dealing with databases of hundreds, thousands, millions of contacts. So we need to be able to do these things at scale. And fundamentally, we want to do these things because they drive conversions that we care about as marketers. And we need to be able to get insights into, you know, how effective our marketing is. So I think what we're trying to say here is that, you know, all marketers have a common set of challenges and a common set of objectives, which are really kind of epitomized in this list. So every marketer we talked about, they have the same set of objectives. We at Marketo, we've been talking about a long time about putting your customers at the very center of what you're trying to do. You know, every every organization really needs to do three things, and that is to acquire new customers, to grow the lifetime value of the existing customers, and then to build brand, build brand advocates, build your customers into people who will stand up in front of their friends, their colleagues, etc., and advocate on behalf of your company, your product or service. So these are the three things that every marketer needs to do, or every revenue team, every company who's trying to generate revenue needs to do these three things. But I think what we want to get an understanding of is, over the next couple of slides, is while that is what every company wants to do, it is actually very difficult in today's world. We live in a world where the people we're trying to connect with, whether it's a consumer, whether it's a buyer, they are being bombarded every day with nearly 2,900 marketing and sales messages. So out of those 2,900 messages, people will pay attention to 50 and they will actively remember 4. So that means that 4 out of nearly 3,000 marketing messages will be actually remembered by individuals on a daily basis on average. So that makes it very difficult. I know in my own day today, I woke up, I had an alarm on my iPad. First thing I did was to quickly scan my email. I checked out a news app, and then also checked some of my social profiles. And during that experience, within the first few minutes of my day, I basically, was exposed to banner advertising, native advertising, and email advertising or marketing within the first few minutes of my day. So it's an extremely busy world in which we're trying to operate and trying to connect with people. As I was preparing the slides for the webinar today, I noticed this tweet a couple of days ago, and I just thought it really talks to, the topic we're trying to cover today and what we're really talking about. So the quote actually says that, advertising fails when it doesn't realize that most people are looking for less, not more stimulus in the modern age. So, what this says to me is that, we as marketers, we need to understand that the people we're trying to connect with, they're overstimulated. They're receiving thousands of marketing messages every day, and people are trying to really filter out a lot of that because it isn't relevant to them. So our challenge as marketers is to be able to connect with people in a way in which they don't want to filter us, in a way in which it really actually helps them to achieve something. Some of the other considerations for, the world we're living in and, why it's difficult to market in today's environment is, buyers are now self-directing their journeys. So what this means is that if somebody's going out to buy a product or service, whether it's a pair of running shoes, whether it's a house, whether it's a piece of software for their organization, they're really in control of how they, approach and how they handle the entire journey they go through to buy it. Forrester says that up to 90% of the buyer journey is self-directed, which means that the power is really now in the hands of the buyer or consumer. They don't need to interact with the seller until very late in their buying process or buying cycle. And that really kind of empowers the buyer and takes the power away from the seller. And it's a real consideration for us as marketers in that environment. I think one of the classic examples that we share here at Marketo is, if you go to buy a car, and I actually did buy a car this year, we have young kids and we needed some more space in our car, or a bigger car ultimately. And that process for us looked exactly like this. So ultimately we realized we needed a new car. First thing we did was to do our research online. So we went to the Volkswagen, the Volvo, the Toyota websites and done our research to understand what model, what make would be best for us, what was the safest rated cars out there, etc. Then we asked our friends for opinions in terms of the cars they were driving. We wanted them to see them, so we went to a showroom and did some test drives. And then we made our decision ultimately, and we went to the seller to buy the car. Excuse me. So that was the process we went through. And what we can see is we, as the buyer, we had a lot of control in the process. We didn't go to the seller until we knew exactly what car we wanted, exactly what price we wanted to pay, and so on. So that's the world we live in, the world of consumer and buyer empowerment. And then finally, in terms of setting the scene for the world we live in and the type of marketing that we need to succeed, Edelman conducted a survey, and they found that 87% of people demand a meaningful brand experience. So that means that it's no longer good enough to just get your message in front of people, so to send that email or to do that display advertising. It's really about that being a meaningful experience for the consumer of your marketing. So for us, I think that presents a big challenge. We talked already about the amount of marketing people are being exposed to. The other thing that I think is relevant here is that people have such strong filters now to messages which aren't relevant to them. I think we all, when we go to websites or when we scan our email, we know what's important and what's not important. So we as marketers need to understand that to really connect and to be able to break through and engage with people, we need to deliver helpful and meaningful experiences. I think I mentioned when I was talking to Matt earlier as well, the piece of research we did with the Economist Intelligence Unit. And one of the big themes coming out of that research was that marketing really is becoming the steward of customer journeys. This means that marketing is ultimately, it's the owner of the full customer life cycle. So from the point that somebody becomes aware of your product or service to the point where they become, hopefully an advocate of your company and want to, buy more of your products or services, that marketing really is responsible for the entire journey that customer goes on. One of the statistics from the survey was that 75% of the respondents said that over the next 3 to 5 years, marketing is going to, manage the end-to-end life cycle of customers. And I think that says it all. That's a really powerful statement that marketing really is the owner of the customer experience nowadays. So just to before I jump in now and discuss the engagement marketing principles before handing over to Emma. So what we've actually seen is we've seen a world which is moving from mass advertising. I know that Mad Men, the series Mad Men, finished recently, and that was really epitomized the world of mass advertising. So you had big audiences trying with a single message, trying to push your agenda onto as wide an audience as possible. But that approach in today's world where we have empowered buyers and consumers isn't going to be as successful as it once was. Similarly, campaign marketing, which is where the marketer was really in control of the messages. So it was really driven by what the marketer needed. So they would send an email out to large segments of their database, or they would do very broad display advertising. So the era of campaign marketing being as effective as it once was, that is also no longer the case. So really where we are is we're in a world of engagement marketing. We're in a world where it's really about trying to build, lifelong, enduring relationships with the people we're trying to reach. And over the next few slides, I'm going to explain what are the principles of engagement marketing, and then Emma's going to take it on and show us some practical examples of what that looks like. So as I mentioned, engagement marketing is about building those personalized and lifelong relationships. And it's about engaging people in 5 key ways. We call them the ABCs of engagement marketing. And first of all, it's about engaging people as individuals. It's about engaging them based on what they do, continuously over time, directed towards an outcome, and everywhere they are. So that's ultimately what engagement marketing is. And I'm just going to quickly explain those before, as I said, handing over. So engaging people as individuals is really understanding that the people we're trying to reach, they want to be talked to based on who they are. So, we have great example here in Amazon. So Amazon basically markets to everyone who's in their database based on what that individual has done. So the products they've bought, the products they've looked at, the products they've recommended over time. So it really is an individual experience you get with Amazon. And that's ultimately where we as organizations should be trying to get to. Next up is about engaging people based on what they do. So this means that we really understand what a person's behavior is. Our CEO, Phil Fernandez, at a recent Marketo event in San Francisco, talked about the future of marketing, and he said the best marketers in the future will be the ones that listen the best rather than talk the best. So it's really about to be able to understand the behaviors of the people we're trying to reach. we have a line at Marketo where we say that, if you understand who I am, you can maybe understand what I might be interested in. But if you understand what I do, then you understand what I am interested in. So that's a key difference. And Netflix is a great example here. So when you go to Netflix and you start watching programs or films, your experience on Netflix is determined by all the programs you've watched and how you've interacted with content. Next up, it's about engaging people continuously over time. So this is, respecting that people's relationship with you as a company and as a provider of products or services will change over time, and that you should be able to grow with them. The example we use is, when you set up a bank account, maybe in university, right through to the time where you actually want to, maybe look at retirement products when you're coming towards the end of your career. Next up is directed towards an outcome. And what we mean by this is that in the world of marketing, where everything is, most things are very measurable now for marketers, that really you should be directing everything you do in terms of your marketing towards an outcome. So if you create a piece of content, what is the outcome you want that content to drive people towards? Is it to sign up for a free trial? Is it just to educate them on your product or service? So that's a key point. And finally, it's about engaging people everywhere they are. So that means that you need to be able to understand what platform, what channels that your customers and prospects are most comfortable in, where they want to be found, and be able to listen and respond on those channels everywhere they are. And they are the 5 principles of what we call engagement marketing. And now, as I say, I'm going to hand over to Emma, who's going to give us some great examples on seeing those in action. So back to you, Matt, first.
Thank you. But Raymond, just a question there.
Sure.
When you discuss this, I'm thinking about, of course, that it must be very important for us as a companies to understand the buying processes of the customers more than actually maybe in the past we focus more on the sales processes that we are working in to really fulfill the expectations and needs from the customers when they are purchasing our services or products. Or what is your thinking about that?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, Matt. I think it is very much about understanding, the buying processes. And I suppose to a large extent, Matt, as well, there's probably an argument that, the buying processes, it's not a linear process anymore. It's not a case of somebody starts at point A and ultimately buys your product or service. I think what the key to I suppose the marketing that we're talking about here is being able to listen to a person's individual behaviors and understand what they're doing so that you can support what that process is. So I suppose what I'm saying is that everybody almost has an individual buying process, and the key is to understand, what are the triggers, what are the behaviors we're looking out for to understand what that process looks like so we can respond appropriately.
Okay, yeah. Okay, let's see. I did mention at the beginning for all of you attendees that we will put up the presentations on our post-webinar site, and also we will send you a link to an evaluation form, so you will get the presentations there. We also record the webinar so you can listen to it afterwards, and you will get that also. But let's see. Welcome Emma Storbacka from Avaus. Placed in Finland, I guess, and you're also working in Sweden very much. So I hand over the control to you.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, that's very well. And Emma,
right.
You will go through some examples, and let's see that Raymond, what he mentioned now is really the truth or possible to achieve.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm going to show you some very real-life, concrete examples of how these 5 principles of customer engagement really come to life. But before I jump into that, just a couple of words on who I am and what Avaus is. My name is Emma. I'm the head of Avaus Marketing Innovations B2B offering, and I've been working with these topics for the last 3 to 5 years. More intensely in the past 2 years, and actually the theme of customer engagement is really something that is very close to my heart, because I'm also conducting academic research on this topic at the Hanken School of Economics for a PhD. So customer engagement is really a hot topic even in academia, which usually is a bit far away from real life. So that's where I come from. And Avaus, for those of you who are not familiar, just a couple of key points here. We're about 75 people. We're the most experienced when it comes to marketing automation in the Nordics. And we do a lot of innovative stuff in marketing automation, partnering with Marketo, among others. And we now have actually 3 offices. Our head office is in Helsinki, and we have now opened offices also in Sweden and in Poland. But yeah, let's jump into these 5 principles of engagement, and let's go through them in the same A, B, C, D, E way that Ray just showed you. So first of all, engaging as individuals is really important. What we see when we are working with our customers, that we have the customer data, which allows us to engage on an individual level. So it might be segmentation data, or it might be also data on what they have been doing or what they are going to do. So this is a very good B2C example of how the Finnish National Opera has improved their customer experience quite a lot by extending the customer experience to both before the show as well as after the show. So this is a trigger that we are running through Marketo, where every visitor of the opera will get one day before a nice message wishing them welcome to the opera, where they can find more information about the show that they're going to see. They can read about it, they can see some videos. It's a reminder at the same time, what time they should be there. And actually, in this email, the most clicked links are parking and transportation guidelines, which shows that it's actually a quite useful piece of customer experience here, where we're helping them have an enjoyable night. And all of the data in the email, of course, is pulled out of the backend systems. So I mean, it's highly relevant and one of the absolutely most clicked emails that the opera sends out. Another different kind of way of doing engagement as individuals is this one for a global chemicals company, where they have, it's quite important for them to be able to actually talk to their customers in the language and with the very specific wordings that their customers are used to, because they might see their provider as doing not everything in the world, but only the things that they are buying. And here they have segmented their database based on language and also based on which industry segment they belong to, which then allows us to, when we do send outs, actually change all of the contents in their own native language, and also change the content, not only translated from French to Portuguese, for example, but also changing the terms and the way that we're talking to the customer in a way that makes it much more relevant for them. And this is, of course, really efficient also for the marketers who are doing this. So then we have the based on what they do. Marketing, as Ray said, has before been a lot about what the marketer, him or herself, does, so campaign thinking, and that's really something that we see needs to transform into actually being about managing processes, marketing processes and marketing programs. And again, the opera is a good example here with a follow-up email after the show, asking the customer, you were here, how did you like it? We hope that you can come again soon. Would you like to subscribe to our newsletter? And please give us a rating. So how preferable would you find, or how much would you like to recommend the opera or the ballet to your friends? And this is something that kind of, again, extends the customer experience. They have been already physically at the opera the last night, but then when they get a reminder of that, they are more prone to feel kind of engaged with the brand and with the experience. And then following up on that, so depending on, in this last slide, you can see on the downside, so from 1 to 5, how willing are you to recommend? It's like a simplified Net Promoter Score, basically. And if you click on the 4 to 5, so you're very interested in telling your friends about this, you get a landing page that suggests that you share on social media your experience and follow the Opera on social media and so on. But if you're not very satisfied, the same landing page will show you different content. So it's going to say that we're really sorry you weren't happy about this. Is there anything we could do to improve? Please tell us your opinion, and would you like us to be in touch? And again, if they feel that they would like to have a discussion with someone, then that's triggered to the call center, who then gives this customer a call right away. So that's, again, engagement that is changing based on what the customer actually tells us and what he or she is doing. Okay, continuously over time. So this is another example of a company that is doing lead nurturing. So now we're moving into the domain of B2B. This is a company called Asiakastieto in Finland, where when they have recognized a lead that might be interested in their services, what they do then is they send out a first initial email where they ask, what would you find more important? What are you looking for? Are you looking for risk management services, or are you looking to get more customers? Because in this case, the services that Asiakastieto provides can actually be used for two different purposes. And then based on what the customer is responding and what they are viewing online, they actually get pulled into different kind of nurturing streams. So if you have said that you're interested in risk management, then you're going to get content that is helping you in achieving that, suggesting you to read some articles, telling you more about the product, and in that way becoming more relevant than just a general presentation of what we could do here with Asiakastieto by our sides. And then again, if you are interested in getting more customers, you want to use Asiakastieto to improve your sales, then the content that you receive will be more focused towards a marketer or a salesperson who is looking to grow their revenue. And in this way, the nurturing that they're doing and supporting their sales with is going to be much more relevant, and also continue over time in a relevant way. And of course, the data that we collect here can also be used for personalizing the website to look the same as these nurturing tracks, as well as giving that input to whoever then reaches out to that customer further on down their purchasing process. Okay, and then we have number 4, which is a personal favorite of mine. So really going after measurable impact and impacting the behavior of your customers. This is an example from the Opera again, where we have a passivation trigger. So there has been a pretty extensive analysis of the customer base, and there's a segmentation called a recency frequency segmentation, which basically groups every customer into one group based on how recently and how frequently they visit. And for customers who have been kind of degraded or have gotten into the passive, risk for passivating, a triggered email campaign is sent out where the Opera is asking this person, hi, would this maybe be the time for your next Opera visit? For some, it might recommend some new shows, or some shows that we know are interesting. So someone who has previously watched or seen something by Puccini, you might want to recommend the next Puccini show. It's also more down in the email, it's also asking the customers if they have any feedback or if they need any help with making a booking. And again, this is ongoing over time. So once this has been set up, the marketer actually doesn't have to do anything else than just optimize and maybe do some A/B testing, and of course changing some of the contents maybe each quarter. Another example here is a really simple landing page where actually for Asiakastieto, they started pooling all of their campaigning so that all bought media and all PR activities actually were directed to this one place where they could convert you into a lead. So they had a free trial. You could try the product for 3 times for free. And in order for them to actually access that product, you had to fill out a landing page, which then automatically sent you a link with a URL for that free trial. And this actually was supported by a lot of other advertising. So instead of doing general brand advertising, they actually bought a domain called riskimittari.fi, which directed to this landing page, and all of the activities in different channels were all directed to this one place, making sure that when you invest some marketing euros into visibility, they all also convert into leads for those that are really interested. And all of the leads, for example, from this were then sent to the nurturing stream that I showed you previously. And then finally, something that we see in growing amounts all of the time is the importance of having a mobile optimized experience. So everywhere they are currently, I think for most marketers should get started and should start thinking about triggering emails or in-app notifications or SMS or advertising based on behavior. For the time being, I think the most crucial thing that several companies are still struggling with is being relevant in the mobile. So different studies show different things, but we see, for example, from our data that it's most often more than 50% that read their emails on the mobile phone, which means that if you don't have a really well working mobile optimized template for your emails, for example, that is simply going to cut away from your conversions. So here's one example of how a mobile optimized template would look like for one of our customers. And as you can see here, it really changes when it's not only squeezing it smaller, but it's actually moving the elements around and also helping the customer find the most relevant things, maybe pulling away some of the content elements in the mobile version. And another example is landing page where in a desktop experience you would try to make something flashy and nice, and that's beautiful and engaging. But in the mobile or in the tablet, you can't really risk having any of those elements not working. So, for example, in this picture here, in the big one, all of those arrows downwards, they actually open a small text box, and you can move around, and there's a video in the middle. But in the mobile experience, you don't want to have that because that's a really big risk for your customer, just simply to say that, okay, this is not for my mobile and I can't read anything, so I'll just jump out of here. So in the mobile version, it's a very kind of simplified and very action-oriented landing page that the customers see. So they are getting links to product pages, and the webinar that is the main point of this campaign is really lifted big and visibly. And this is really not very easy making this mobile optimized templates. So I think that's a good starting point for most marketers thinking about how you could become more relevant and more customer oriented in your engagement marketing. So those were the examples that I had for you. They were all very concrete, and I hope at least a little bit interested in terms of bringing up different aspects of the engagement marketing principles.
Okay, thank you.
If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Emma. And I have, of course, a question, and that is, in terms of, you mentioned here some examples, especially maybe from the B2C area, but for the B2B, I believe we have two different, two different positions here. We have the company and then we have the contact persons. And sometimes I believe we mix and match that in a not perfect way. But is it more complex for B2B companies to deal with this? Because sometimes I guess that a contact person is not the one that bought something that you maybe then want to recommend to them or so. Or
absolutely. I think it brings one level of complexity, definitely. It depends also. I mean, B2C can also be very complex. So sometimes, let's say for the opera, you might be visiting the opera, but it was your friend or your spouse who actually bought the tickets. So you're not actually getting any of this experience that has been designed for every visitor. And in the B2B example, for example, I think making sure that you know what the most important message you want to say to anyone from a particular company is the difficult part. Technically, it's quite easy to segment and to make sure that you're showing relevant content to the relevant customer organization or the customer himself. That's easy, but really defining and using those segmentations and value proposition, strategy work, PowerPoints that have been created in most companies, but actually taking that all the way into your engagement marketing, that's a challenge. But on the other hand, this is the first time with marketing automation and digitalization that you actually can use those segmentations that you have created, because those have been with us for the last 20 or 30 years, and now we can act upon them.
Okay. We have actually a question here also. Emma, did Avaus use Marketo in the customer cases you showed?
Yes, they were all Marketo cases.
Do you also use other marketing automation tools when you deliver your solutions, or?
Yes, but Marketo is one of our key partners.
Okay. Raymond, would you like to add something to what Emma said in terms of the way you need to work in this area?
So in relation to B2B versus B2C, Matt, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the key point about B2B and B2C, you're totally right. Actually connecting with the decision makers within a B2B environment is definitely a challenge. But I think, as we mentioned, or as I mentioned during my slides, if you understand the behaviors of the people you're dealing with in an organization, for example, what we look out for triggers is people who are visiting the pricing page, people who are downloading content, which we define as late stage, then we know those people are probably going to be more influential in the decision making, and we will then be able to nurture them in different ways to people who are just interested in improving for example, their knowledge on marketing. So I think by, again, going back to the behaviors and understanding behaviors, you can really identify in a B2B environment who are the people you need to be actually nurturing with later stage content.
Okay. And in terms of general for companies, I believe that many companies ask too many questions in this customer service that they do annually, and instead of actually looking at the behavior and all the transaction data that maybe they have. What is your view on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think you're completely right. I think companies they're sitting on huge amounts of data, like even within just a Marketo. If you're running Marketo, then you've got a huge amount of information which tells you the happiness of your customers ultimately and where they are. So I think you're right. I think we probably need to leverage that data better internally, and then be able to actually turn that into insights which can make you serve your customers better ultimately.
Oh, okay. And now the time is over. It's 10:45, and thank you, Emma, and thank you, Raymond, for sharing us all your experience and information. And all of you attending this webinar, thank you very much for this morning, and I hope I see you soon again. Actually, also for the Finnish audience, Wednesday Relations will have the first Finnish event in Helsinki in January, I believe, but it's a totally different topic. It's Google Analytics. Anyway, see you soon and talk to you soon, and goodbye for today.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.